The summer of 2003 cast a long shadow over Bakersfield, California. The heat shimmered off the asphalt, a cruel mirror reflecting the unbearable tragedy about to unfold within the walls of a seemingly ordinary home. The Harper family, Joni, a vibrant 39-year-old, her mother, Ernestine, a woman whose 70 years held a quiet strength, and Joni's 3 young children, 4-year-old Marcus, 23-month-old Lindsay, and 6-week-old Marshall, were living a life that appeared idyllic from the outside. The scent of freshly baked bread, perhaps, or the echo of children's laughter, now replaced by an unbearable silence. Their lives, punctuated by the rhythm of Sunday church services, were about to end violently and without warning on July 6, 2003. That morning, the family had attended their regular church service, their laughter blending with the hymns. The sun had warmed their faces as they walked home, their shadows stretching long in the afternoon light. Little did anyone know, it would be their last walk together, their last shared moment under the California sun. 2 days passed, filled with a growing unease as the absence of Joni and Ernestine from their usual routines became alarming. The silence was heavy, a stark contrast to the vibrant energy they typically exuded. A close friend, compelled by a growing sense of dread, made the gut-wrenching decision to visit their home. The friend, armed with nothing but a key and a motherly concern, stepped across the threshold, only to encounter a sight that would forever sear itself into her memory, a scene of unspeakable horror. The air hung heavy with the metallic tang of blood, a chilling counterpoint to the muted colors of the living room, where a cream-colored sofa lay overturned, suggesting a desperate struggle. A child's toy lay abandoned, halfway across the floor, a small, plastic car, frozen in its journey across the carpet. The house itself, with its faded wallpaper and worn furniture, seemed to whisper the family's story, a tale now brutally interrupted. The police, arriving in the aftermath of this discovery, found themselves facing a complex puzzle, a seemingly motiveless massacre. Initially, the investigation seemed shrouded in impenetrable mystery. The detectives walked through the house, their footsteps echoing in the deathly silence. Every detail was meticulously examined, every clue meticulously recorded, the placement of bodies, the trajectory of bullets, even the faint scent of unfamiliar cologne clinging to the air. The initial assumption, a random act of violence, quickly dissolved under the weight of emerging evidence. The investigation revealed a web of secrets, hidden connections, and long-simmering resentments. It became clear that the surface appearance of a happy family masked a darkness far more profound and disturbing. The truth, however, remained elusive, hidden behind a veil of deceit. Who committed this horrific crime? What secrets did the Harper family hold? The answers lay buried, waiting to be unearthed, but one thing was certain, the seemingly peaceful suburban landscape of Bakersfield hid a terrifying truth. The year 2003 marked 2 decades since the horrific Harper family murders, a tragedy that continues to ripple through the community. The seemingly idyllic facade of the Harper household masked a darkness that no one could have anticipated, a darkness woven into the very fabric of the family. The perpetrator, a master of deception, wore the guise of normalcy, a wolf in sheep's clothing, concealing a brutal capacity for violence. The weight of unspoken secrets and the lingering shadow of unanswered questions continue to haunt Bakersfield to this day, a testament to the enduring mystery surrounding this heinous crime. Joni Harper, born November 14, 1963, in Bakersfield, California, was the youngest of 5 children, a testament to the enduring strength and spirit of her mother, Ernestine. The warm glow of the California sun had bathed her childhood years, spent in the familiar embrace of her hometown. The comforting rhythm of life in Bakersfield shaped her early years, marked by the simple joys of family and community. She navigated the halls of McKinley Elementary, her footsteps echoing in the hallways, a prelude to her high school years. The vibrant energy of Bakersfield High School served as her proving ground, a space where she excelled not just academically, but also athletically. The squeak of sneakers on polished floors, the satisfying thud of the basketball, and the roar of the crowd, these were the sounds of her youth. Her graduation in 1988 marked a significant milestone, a transition from the familiar comforts of high school into the broader world. Her basketball skills, honed through years of dedicated practice, propelled her to stardom on the high school court, earning her accolades and recognition within the community. Her athletic prowess, however, represented only one facet of her personality, a depth that lay hidden beneath a seemingly cheerful exterior. After high school, Joni ventured further afield, seeking new opportunities and challenges at Southwestern Christian College in Texas. There, amongst a diverse student body, she earned her associate's degree, demonstrating a thirst for knowledge and a desire for self-improvement. The spirit of competition never left her. Her passion for basketball found a new outlet in officiating, and Joni's dedication to the game led her to make history, becoming the first woman in Kern County to officiate boys' basketball games, a significant accomplishment that speaks volumes about her courage, determination, and skill. The whistle's shrill cry, the roar of the crowd, the intensity of the game, these became her new arena. But, little did anyone know, a darkness loomed. The year 1994 marked a new chapter in Joni's life, a transition from the collegiate realm to the vibrant world of local basketball officiating. She joined the North Bakersfield Recreation and Park District, her whistle cutting through the joyous chaos of youth games, her calm demeanor a stabilizing force amidst the high-energy atmosphere of athletic competition. The rhythmic bounce of the basketball, the excited chatter of young athletes, the thrill of victory and the sting of defeat, these were the elements of her new reality. She then broadened her horizons, taking on officiating roles with the California Athletic Collegiate Association, navigating the complexities of collegiate games with unwavering professionalism. The intensity of competition heightened, but Joni's dedication remained steadfast, a testament to her passion and commitment. The echoes of her whistle, sharp and clear, resonated throughout local courts, becoming as familiar as the cheers of the crowd. Joni's impact on the Bakersfield basketball community was substantial, a testament to her skill, dedication, and genuine affection for the athletes she worked with. She wasn't simply an official, she was a mentor, a role model, a source of support. The young athletes under her watch weren't merely participants, they were individuals, each with their own unique talents and aspirations. Joni possessed an uncanny ability to connect with them, recognizing their potential and nurturing their passions. The scent of sweat, the sound of squeaking shoes, the feeling of intense competition, these were all elements of her world, but they were enriched by the personal connections she forged with the young people whose games she oversaw. But basketball, for all its significance, was not Joni's sole passion. Her heart held a deeper calling, a yearning to help those in need. This desire, a driving force in her life, was a shared trait with her mother, Ernestine. Ernestine, originally a Texan, brought with her a deep-seated empathy and unwavering dedication to social justice. Her relocation to California in 1961, followed by her settlement in Bakersfield in 1964, marked a new chapter not only in her personal life, but also in the lives of countless individuals she would touch. Her unwavering advocacy for the disenfranchised earned her a reputation as a staunch community activist, a beacon of hope for those whose society had cast aside. Ernestine's voice, resonating with compassion and righteous anger, became a force for change in the community. She wasn't afraid to speak truth to power, to challenge the status quo, to fight for those who had been silenced. The quiet strength of her character, reflected in her steely gaze and determined demeanor, was a powerful testament to her commitment to justice. Her actions, driven by a deep-seated sense of morality, demonstrated a profound empathy for the most vulnerable among them, those who had been deemed disposable by a society that often turned a blind eye to their struggles. The quiet hum of community activism, the murmur of political discourse, the weight of social responsibility, these all became part of the fabric of her life, inseparable from the warmth of her family and the fierce love for her daughter. But this shared passion, this deep commitment to helping others, would ultimately end tragically, leaving a gaping hole in the heart of their community. The darkness that descended on the Harper home in 2003 extinguished a light that had illuminated so many lives. Ernestine's unwavering commitment to justice, deeply rooted in her Christian faith, transcended geographical boundaries and social hierarchies. Her belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every human being formed the bedrock of her activism. She held fast to the conviction that everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances, deserved equal treatment and fair justice. The weight of this belief, heavy yet hopeful, fueled her tireless work for social change. The rhythmic cadence of prayer, the fervent whispers of faith, the quiet determination in her heart, these were the pillars of her strength. This unwavering conviction propelled her to co-found Extend a Hand for Justice, an organization that extended its reach far beyond the borders of Bakersfield. Her desire to alleviate suffering knew no bounds, her philanthropy extending across continents. The dusty landscapes of Africa, the vibrant tapestry of South America, these were the stages for her missionary work. Ernestine's journey took her to some of the world's most impoverished communities, carrying with her not just financial resources, but also a profound message of hope and empowerment. The images of poverty, stark and harsh, could not extinguish the fire of her compassion. The sights, the sounds, the smells, all were etched into her memory, fueling her unrelenting pursuit of justice. The echoes of distant drums, the murmur of unfamiliar tongues, the weight of human suffering, these served only to strengthen her resolve. Her heart, a boundless reservoir of empathy, poured forth, providing relief and fostering hope where it was most desperately needed. Her spirit, indefatigable, continued to inspire others to join her cause, building a global network of compassion and action. Joni, deeply influenced by her mother's example, inherited Ernestine's compassionate spirit and unwavering dedication to helping others. While Ernestine's influence shaped the lives of all her children, her bond with Joni was particularly profound, a testament to the unique connection between mother and daughter. As Joni matured, their relationship deepened, marked by mutual respect, shared values, and an unbreakable emotional bond. The warmth of their bond, a quiet understanding that transcended words, was a source of strength and comfort for both. The gentle murmur of shared confidences, the comfortable silence between mother and daughter, the unwavering support in times of both joy and sorrow, these were the hallmarks of their relationship. The scent of home-cooked meals, the laughter that filled their kitchen, the shared experiences that bound them together, these formed the fabric of their enduring connection. As Joni embarked on the journey of creating her own family, Ernestine stood as a steadfast pillar of support, her presence a constant source of strength and guidance. The late 1990s brought a significant development into Joni's life, the arrival of Vincent brothers onto the scene. The first meeting, perhaps over coffee, the tentative exchange of smiles, the blossoming of a relationship, all these moments laid the foundation for a new chapter in her life. Their courtship, a tentative dance of getting to know each other, blossomed into a relationship filled with shared laughter, whispered secrets, and the unspoken promise of a future together. The thrill of new love, the anticipation of the future, the quiet intimacy of shared moments, these emotions filled the air, a hopeful undercurrent to the already rich tapestry of her life. However, little did they know that this seemingly auspicious start would lead to a heartbreaking conclusion, a trajectory that would tragically alter the course of their lives and those of their family. Vincent Brothers, a transplant from Long Island, arrived in California during the 1980s, drawn by the promise of opportunity and higher education. He pursued his academic ambitions at California State University, Bakersfield, eventually earning a master's degree in education, a testament to his intellectual curiosity and dedication to learning. The rhythmic tapping of his keyboard, the scent of old books, the quiet intensity of late-night study sessions, these formed the backdrop of his academic journey. His presence in Bakersfield was initially marked by a quiet diligence, a focused pursuit of his educational goals. To Joni's family, Vincent presented himself as a charming and amiable individual, a man who seemingly possessed all the qualities that would make him a suitable partner for their beloved daughter. His easy smile, his engaging conversation, his apparent sincerity, these factors all contributed to his seemingly flawless image. The gentle sound of his voice, the warmth of his gaze, the apparent depth of his character, all contributed to Joni's growing affection for him. The first tentative steps of their courtship, the shared laughter, the quiet intimacy of stolen moments, these formed the foundation of their relationship. The growing sense of happiness, the hope for a future filled with love and family, the building anticipation of a shared life together, all of this propelled them toward commitment. Joni fell deeply in love, unaware of the storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Vincent's past, however, held complexities that would eventually cast a long shadow over his relationship with Joni. His previous marriages and the child from a prior relationship hinted at unresolved issues, hints of a more complicated history. However, his success in the local elementary school, where he ascended the ranks to become a respected administrator and eventually a principal, created a facade of stability and respectability. The echoes of children's laughter, the rhythmic pace of the school day, the sense of community he seemed to embody, all contributed to the illusion of a happily ever after. The year 1998 marked the arrival of Marcus, their first child together, a joyous occasion that strengthened their bond. Their subsequent marriage in January 2000 cemented their commitment and seemed to herald the start of a perfect family life. The white dress, the celebratory music, the hopeful smiles, all pointed toward a future brimming with possibilities. But, the surface image, deceptively flawless, quickly fractured beneath the strain of unspoken tensions. The illusion of marital bliss soon crumbled, revealing a darker reality. Vincent's frequent and unexplained disappearances cast a pall over their relationship. His absences, sometimes lasting for days, were marked by an unnerving lack of explanation, a refusal to share his whereabouts or account for his actions. The weight of his silence created a chasm between them, eroding the foundation of their marriage. The empty chair at the dinner table, the cold bed next to her own, the creeping suspicion that something was terribly wrong, these emotions gnawed at Joni's happiness. Her once bright world descended into an abyss of confusion and fear. The once hopeful facade of a fairy tale marriage began to crack under the weight of his secrets. And lurking beneath the surface, unknown to Joni, lay a darkness that would soon consume her and her family, leaving behind a legacy of unfathomable grief and unanswered questions. The cracks in the veneer of their marriage widened quickly, revealing the bitter truth of Vincent's infidelity. The evidence, initially subtle, gradually coalesced into an undeniable reality. The subtle shift in his demeanor, the late nights, the evasiveness, all pointed to a betrayal that shattered Joni's trust. The once vibrant colors of their relationship faded to a somber gray, leaving Joni heartbroken and disillusioned. The sharp sting of betrayal, the crushing weight of disappointment, the agonizing realization that her dreams were shattered, these emotions consumed her. A month after their wedding vows, their marriage was dissolved through annulment, a legal formality that could not erase the emotional wounds that remained. Despite the annulment, the bond between Joni and Vincent persisted, a complex tangle of love, loyalty, and perhaps, a lingering hope for reconciliation. Joni, according to her brother's account, possessed an unwavering love for Vincent, a feeling that transcended the pain he had caused her. This deep-seated affection, a testament to the strength of her heart, led her to desire his presence in their son Marcus's life. Their relationship, though officially ended, continued to intertwine their lives, creating a bittersweet connection, fraught with both pain and affection. The echoes of their shared past, the lingering warmth of their early years, the unspoken hopes for reconciliation, all formed a complex tapestry of emotions. Their on-again, off-again relationship continued its erratic path, marked by periods of intense connection and equally intense separations. The arrival of their daughter, Lindsay, further complicated the dynamic. The joy of motherhood, intertwined with the complexities of her relationship with Vincent, created a turbulent emotional landscape. Joni, burdened by the weight of raising two young children, found solace in the unwavering support of her mother, Ernestine, who moved in to assist with childcare. The gentle rhythm of family life, interwoven with the ever-present tension between Joni and Vincent, established a fragile stability. The scent of baby powder, the sound of children's laughter, the shared responsibility of raising their kids, all created a sense of home, however precarious. The passage of several years, marked by both reconciliation and separation, eventually led Joni and Vincent to a second attempt at marriage. The decision, born of hope and perhaps a measure of desperation, seemed to promise a renewed chance at a stable family life. The late year of 2002 brought forth the joyful news of a third pregnancy, further solidifying their decision to reunite. The growing belly, the anticipation of a new arrival, the shared dreams of a complete family, all seemed to suggest that they had finally found their path. But the shadows of the past, the unresolved conflicts, and the deep-seated issues that had driven them apart initially remained, lying dormant but never truly gone. The seemingly happy moment concealed the fragility of their relationship. The impending arrival of their third child, while joyous, ironically presaged the ultimate tragedy. The growing excitement of anticipation was about to be brutally eclipsed by an unimaginable horror. The year 2003 dawned with a clandestine ceremony, a secret remarriage that marked Joni and Vincent's second attempt at building a lasting union. The quiet intimacy of their secret vows, perhaps exchanged in a small chapel or a secluded location, marked a desperate hope for a fresh start. But the fragile peace proved short-lived. The weight of unresolved issues and long-simmering tensions cast a long shadow over their renewed commitment. 3 years after their first wedding, the hope of a happy ever after seemed like a distant dream. The secrecy surrounding this second marriage hints at a profound lack of trust. By April, the familiar patterns of conflict re-emerged, mirroring the dysfunction that had plagued their first marriage. Vincent, seemingly incapable of change, reverted to his old behaviors. The disappearances, the evasiveness, the lack of communication, all resurfaced, adding to the already strained atmosphere. The once hopeful smiles had been replaced by an unnerving silence, an ever-present tension that hung in the air like a noxious fog. Joni's unhappiness intensified, fueled by a growing fear for her safety. Her anxieties, initially whispered concerns, escalated into a profound fear that Vincent might resort to violence, a fear she confided in a trusted friend. The unspoken dread, the chilling premonition of imminent danger, these formed a dark undercurrent beneath the surface of her life. 4 months after their secret ceremony, Marshall, their third child, entered the world, bringing with him the promise of new beginnings. The innocent face of their newborn son, however, offered little solace to the troubled dynamics of their family. The joy of his arrival was overshadowed by the irrevocable damage inflicted on their marriage. The relentless stress of their relationship, the constant uncertainty, the ever-present dread, these took their toll on Joni. The weight of her situation, the responsibility of raising 3 young children, the growing anxiety about her relationship with Vincent, it was almost too much for her to bear. Despite her desire for a stable family unit, the truth was impossible to ignore: their marriage was irreparably broken. The attempts at reconciliation, driven by her commitment to her children, proved futile. The strained relationship extended beyond Joni and Vincent. It included Ernestine, whose presence in their home added another layer of complexity. The friction between Ernestine and Vincent intensified, creating an explosive dynamic within their shared household. Their clashes, fueled by mutual resentment, created an uncomfortable atmosphere for Joni and the children. The rhythmic clash of personalities, the unspoken resentment, the tension that filled the air, all formed an unbearable environment. The decision to move out, made by Vincent, marked a symbolic end to their already fragile family life. His departure signified not only the end of their marriage, but also, inadvertently, a move toward the catastrophic conclusion that lay ahead. The new apartment, supposedly offering peace and quiet, was an ironic precursor to the utter devastation that would soon follow. The decision to remain legally married, despite the physical separation, added another layer of complexity to their already fractured relationship. The nature of their romantic involvement after Vincent's move remains unclear, a mystery shrouded in the silence of their final months. The absence of explicit details only deepens the intrigue surrounding their final days. The unanswered questions about their interactions, the unspoken tensions, the lingering emotions, all contribute to the enduring mystery surrounding the tragedy. The Baker Street Church of Christ served as a sanctuary for both Joni and Ernestine, a place of solace and spiritual nourishment. Their deep faith, a constant in their lives, provided a sense of community and belonging within their church family. The familiar hymns, the comforting prayers, the sense of shared faith, all offered a respite from the turmoil of their home life. The church, with its stained glass windows, the scent of incense, and the quiet murmur of prayer, became their refuge. The comforting sounds of the choir, the rhythmic beat of the hymns, and the sense of belonging, provided them with comfort and hope. Joni's eagerness to introduce her newborn son, Marshall, to her church community reflected her strong faith and her desire to share her joy with those closest to her. The anticipation of the church service, the gentle excitement of preparing the baby for church, the warm welcome from fellow congregants, all were part of their routine. The cheerful smiles, the soft cooing of the baby, and the warm embrace of the church family, filled their morning. Sunday, July 6, 2003, began as a typical day for the Harper family. The bright sunlight, the cheerful sounds of the morning, and the anticipation of church service, painted a seemingly ordinary picture. That morning, Joni, Ernestine, Marcus, now 4, Lindsay, nearly 2, and 6-week-old Marshall attended the morning service, their presence a familiar sight within the congregation. The Harper family, deeply committed to their faith, typically attended both the morning and evening services. The ritual, a comforting routine in their otherwise tumultuous lives, provided a sense of stability and connection. However, after the morning service concluded, their plans changed, a seemingly trivial deviation from the usual routine. The decision to grab a quick meal before returning home for a rest before the evening service seemed innocuous at the time. The familiar sounds of the town, the sights and smells of the restaurants, the anticipation of the evening service, all contributed to their plans. The simple act of grabbing something to eat proved to be a final shared moment. The anticipation of the afternoon, of the evening service, was about to be brutally interrupted. The evening service began without them, their absence initially dismissed as a simple oversight. But their failure to reappear would soon trigger a series of events that would shatter the peace of the Baker Street Church of Christ and leave an indelible mark on the heart of Bakersfield. The absence of the Harper family from the evening service sparked a subtle unease among the congregation. The initial concern, however, was tempered by the understanding that Joni, with 3 young children, might have been too tired to return. The gentle murmurs of conversation, the quiet speculation amongst the church members, the acceptance of a plausible explanation, all seemed to ease initial concerns. The weight of their absence, initially light, gradually grew heavier as the hours passed. The assumption that they were simply too tired to return seemed reasonable and, in hindsight, tragically naive. The comforting routine of their life was about to be shattered. The ensuing days unfolded in a chilling silence. The ringing of unanswered phones, the growing apprehension among friends and family, and the mounting dread, all hinted at something profoundly wrong. The usual cheerful laughter, the warmth of their presence, and the comforting rhythm of their daily lives, had vanished into a void of silence. The rhythmic ringing of the telephone, punctuated by the silence of unanswered calls, created a growing sense of unease. The calls, initially hopeful, gradually became more frantic and filled with increasing concern. Friends and loved ones tried to reach Joni and Ernestine, their efforts met with silence. The weight of unanswered calls created a palpable tension, a premonition of impending disaster. The growing concern escalated into action. Kelsey Spann, Joni's closest friend, a confidant, a sister in all but blood, decided she couldn't wait any longer. The nagging sense of dread, the overwhelming feeling that something was terribly wrong, propelled her into action. Her decision, born of love and concern, propelled her toward the Harper home. Tuesday, July 8, 2003, 2 days after the family was last seen, Kelsey made the fateful journey to the Harper residence. The walk to their door, typically filled with laughter and joyful greeting, was now filled with a heavy heart, a growing sense of unease. The mundane sights of the neighborhood, the familiar sounds of the street, took on an ominous character. She carried with her nothing but a hope that everything would be all right. Kelsey's entry into the Harper home marked a turning point, a moment that would forever alter the course of her life and the lives of everyone connected to the Harper family. The threshold, once crossed with warmth and welcome, became a portal to unspeakable horror. The scent of death, the oppressive silence, the horrifying reality that awaited her, all descended upon her, a cruel blow that shattered her world. What she saw inside the house, forever etched in her memory, was a scene of unimaginable violence, a testament to the brutal cruelty of the crime that had befallen the Harper family. The sight that confronted her, a scene of unspeakable devastation, would forever remain in her thoughts, a haunting reminder of the tragedy she witnessed. The nightmare had become horrifyingly real. The scene that greeted Kelsey was one of unimaginable horror. Joni, Ernestine, Marcus, Lindsay, and little Marshall, all lay lifeless, victims of a brutal act of violence. The air hung heavy with the metallic tang of blood, the silence punctuated only by the frantic beating of Kelsey's heart. The grim reality of their deaths, a stark contrast to the vibrant life they had once lived, overwhelmed her senses. The lifeless bodies, arranged in a chaotic tableau, spoke of a struggle, of a desperate fight for survival that had ultimately ended in tragedy. The sight of their stillness, their eyes forever closed, their bodies bearing the marks of unspeakable violence, a vision that would forever haunt her. The discovery of 22 caliber shell casings scattered throughout the house indicated a methodical brutality, a chilling testament to the killer's callous disregard for human life. The evidence, meticulously collected by the investigating officers, painted a grim picture. The grim details, the violent end of 5 lives, the chilling indifference displayed by the killer, created a chilling portrait of violence. The police, arriving on the scene, found themselves confronted with a gruesome and chaotic environment. The overturned furniture, the shattered belongings, and the disturbing arrangement of the bodies, all indicated a calculated attempt to simulate a robbery gone wrong. The house, once a haven of love and family, had become a crime scene. The initial assumption of a robbery quickly unraveled. The discovery of stab wounds on Joni's body, hidden beneath the gunshot wounds, shifted the focus of the investigation. The apparent lack of forced entry, combined with the absence of any stolen items, indicated a crime motivated by something far more sinister than simple theft. The methodical arrangement of the scene, meant to mislead investigators, seemed to hide a brutal intent. The missing kitchen knife, identified by the investigators as the murder weapon, further solidified the theory that this was an act of intense rage, rather than a robbery. The knife, vanished from its usual place on the butcher block, was missing, leaving behind only its absence as a chilling testament to the crime. The sliding glass door, the point of entry for the killer, showed no signs of forced entry, suggesting an element of familiarity or the use of a key. The absence of any missing items further challenged the initial assumption of a robbery, hinting at a crime driven by something more personal and vengeful. The meticulously staged scene suggested that the killer was both cunning and cruel, someone who had planned the attack with a chilling precision. The lack of forced entry hinted at either a relationship with the victims or access to a key. The meticulous planning, the brutal execution, and the deliberate staging of the scene, all pointed toward a perpetrator who knew the family well and acted with chilling intent. The case, shrouded in mystery, posed a formidable challenge to investigators. The quest to find the killer, to bring to justice the person responsible for such a heinous act, would prove to be a long and arduous one. The senseless slaughter of the Harper family, particularly the murder of 3 innocent children, including a defenseless 6-week-old infant, sent shockwaves through the community. The brutality of the crime, the unimaginable loss, and the chilling indifference displayed by the killer, left investigators reeling. The weight of the tragedy, the profound sense of injustice, and the haunting images of the victims, haunted the minds of those who had been touched by this horrific event. The senselessness of the crime, particularly the murder of the innocent children, added a layer of incomprehensible horror. The brutal slaying of the children, an act that defied comprehension, amplified the overall sense of shock and outrage. The focus of the investigation quickly shifted to Joni, identified as the likely intended victim. The motive, however, remained shrouded in mystery. Why would someone target Joni? And why would they extend their murderous rage to her mother and 3 innocent children? The lack of a clear motive fueled the relentless pursuit of answers. The investigators, fueled by a sense of determination, sought to uncover the reasons behind the heinous crime. The unanswered questions, the lingering mysteries, and the absence of a clear motive, added to the complexities of the investigation. Vincent Brothers, Joni's husband, became an immediate focus for the investigation. Locating him was critical not only to inform him of the tragedy but also to eliminate him as a potential suspect. The weight of suspicion, though initially light, rested upon him due to his tumultuous relationship with Joni. The investigators' attempts to locate Vincent, however, were initially unsuccessful, adding another layer to the complexities of the case. They eventually found him in Elizabethtown, North Carolina, having traveled there from Ohio, where he had visited his brother, and then to visit his mother in North Carolina. The journey, undertaken just days before the discovery of the murders, cast an uneasy pall on his alibi. The news of his family's murder hit Vincent with devastating force. The detective who interviewed Vincent described his reaction as inconsolable grief, a raw display of emotion that left him physically ill. The image of a distraught man, overwhelmed by grief, and overcome by the horror of the news, seemed to point away from guilt. The detective's account portrays a man overcome by sorrow, his emotional response suggesting genuine grief. His request for a trash can, in anticipation of vomiting, further illustrates the intensity of his emotional distress. However, the detective's inability to discern a clear emotional response suggests something more profound and troubling, revealing the difficulty of determining truth amidst the raw chaos of grief and trauma. The ambiguity of his emotional state added to the many unanswered questions surrounding the murders. The investigators, recognizing the complexity of his emotional display, continued their investigation without making any quick assumptions. Vincent's visible distress, coupled with his seemingly solid alibi, initially placed him outside the circle of primary suspects. His emotional response, while genuine, could not definitively exclude him from further investigation. The investigators, understanding the complexities of human emotion and the potential for deception, remained cautious. The raw intensity of his grief, while believable, was not conclusive proof of his innocence. The detectives, seasoned in their ability to interpret human behavior, remained wary, choosing to keep an open mind. The news of the Harper family murders sent shockwaves through Bakersfield, transforming the peaceful suburban community into a place of fear and uncertainty. The realization that a merciless killer stalked their streets, capable of such unimaginable brutality, struck fear into the hearts of residents. The once familiar streets, the comforting routines of daily life, and the sense of security, were irrevocably altered. The horrifying images of the victims, the shocking details of their deaths, and the senseless nature of the crime, all contributed to the widespread terror. The whispers of fear, the hesitant footsteps on the sidewalks, the lingering sense of unease, became the new normal. The mystery surrounding the murders deepened as investigators delved deeper into the details of the case. The initial assumptions, based on the surface appearance of a crime of passion, began to unravel as new evidence emerged. The careful staging of the crime scene, the apparent lack of motive, and the absence of any stolen items, all suggested a far more complex scenario than initially presumed. The painstaking work of the investigators, the meticulous examination of clues, and the relentless pursuit of answers, were crucial in unveiling the truth. The search for the killer, now far more complex than initially anticipated, became a race against time to prevent further atrocities. The grim discovery of the bodies on July 8, 2003, solidified the tragedy. Joni Harper, 39, Ernestine Harper, 70, Marcus, 4, Lindsay, 23 months, and Marshall, 6 weeks, were found murdered in their home. The scene, horrific in its details, reinforced the magnitude of the crime. Vincent Beverly, Joni's husband, maintained his alibi, claiming he was hundreds of miles away at the time of the killings. However, his alibi, while seemingly sound, remained under scrutiny. The investigators, despite Vincent's alibi, were far from concluding their investigation. The pursuit of the truth, however elusive, remained a top priority. The investigation, far from over, continued with increased urgency. The investigation, painstaking and thorough, revealed a hidden truth far more intricate and shocking than initially anticipated. The investigation into the Harper family murders unveiled a darkness that shocked the community to its core. The seemingly idyllic lives of Joni and Ernestine, both pillars of the community, were brutally shattered. Their reputations, built on years of service and unwavering kindness, were tragically overshadowed by the violence that ended their lives. The senseless nature of their deaths, and the inclusion of the children, amplified the community's shock and grief. The brutality of the crime, the scale of the loss, and the senselessness of the act, left an indelible mark on the town. The weight of the news, delivered in fragmented pieces, compounded Eddie Harper's grief. His initial reaction, informed by incomplete information, evolved into a horrifying realization as the full extent of the tragedy unfolded. The gradual revelation of the deaths, initially limited to Joni and Lindsay, expanded to include Ernestine and Marcus before he ultimately received the full, devastating truth: the entire family was gone. The shattering revelation, delivered in stages, compounded the emotional trauma experienced by Eddie. The weight of each phone call, the gradual acceptance of the unimaginable loss, and the final confirmation of the family's deaths, created an enduring sense of grief and loss. The initial shock gave way to profound sorrow and disbelief. The inability to comprehend the motives of the killer, the senselessness of the act, and the overwhelming grief that followed the horrific discovery, all contributed to an outpouring of community support and mourning. The images of the victims, the details of the crime, and the raw emotion of those left behind, forever impacted the community. The profound sadness, the shared mourning, and the collective struggle to make sense of the incomprehensible, all formed the emotional landscape of Bakersfield in the aftermath of the tragedy. The community, grappling with the devastating loss, sought answers, desperately trying to comprehend the motive behind such a horrific crime. The echoes of grief resonated through the town, a grim reminder of the violence that had forever changed the landscape. The search for answers, a desperate quest for justice, became a central focus of the community. The collective yearning for closure, and the persistent unanswered questions, would continue to haunt the hearts and minds of those who were touched by this tragedy. Despite Vincent's seemingly solid alibi and his distraught demeanor, the Bakersfield police, guided by intuition and the weight of circumstantial evidence, harbored suspicions about his involvement. The distance, though significant, did not entirely eliminate him as a suspect. The investigators' focus on Vincent, though not based on concrete evidence, stemmed from an understanding of the complexities of human behavior and the potential for deception. The subtle cues, the inconsistencies, and the unspoken tensions, had placed him under suspicion. The Bakersfield Police Department, acting on their suspicions, instructed their counterparts in North Carolina to arrest Vincent. The immediate request for his arrest, though based on circumstantial evidence, suggested a profound distrust of his alibi. The arrest, however brief, underscored the seriousness with which the police viewed Vincent as a potential suspect. However, the detention proved short-lived, and Vincent was released after a few hours, returning to Bakersfield under a cloud of suspicion. The seemingly incongruous image of Vincent, a well-respected principal of an elementary school, emerged as a pivotal element in the investigation. His standing in the community, similar to that of Joni and Ernestine, further complicated the case. Vincent's reputation for decency and professionalism contrasted sharply with the unimaginable brutality of the crimes. The dissonance between his public persona and the horrific nature of the murders created a profound sense of disbelief and uncertainty. The detectives, proceeding with caution, embarked on a meticulous verification of Vincent's alibi. The pursuit of evidence, though painstaking and tedious, was crucial to determining his innocence or guilt. The examination of Vincent's credit card statements, intended to corroborate his travel, yielded significant results. The credit card records confirmed his presence in Ohio on July 6, supporting his claim of being far from Bakersfield on the day of the murders. The purchase records, seemingly solidifying his alibi, posed a significant challenge for investigators. However, the seemingly conclusive evidence would only contribute to the layers of deception and would leave questions unanswered. The investigation, far from over, continued to unveil new layers of complexity and mystery. The seemingly simple task of checking his alibi opened up new avenues of inquiry, leading the detectives into a deeper exploration of the case. Vincent's credit card transactions, initially presented as irrefutable proof of his alibi, served only to temporarily deflect suspicion. The purchases, recorded in Ohio on July 6, seemed to solidify his claim of being hundreds of miles from Bakersfield on the day of the murders. However, the seemingly concrete evidence would not be the final word in the investigation. The superficial appearance of a solid alibi served only to deepen the enigma surrounding the case, further highlighting the complexity of the investigation. The funeral service, a solemn occasion meant to commemorate the lives of Joni, Ernestine, Marcus, Lindsay, and Marshall, unfolded amidst the ongoing investigation. The somber atmosphere of the funeral, the shared grief of the community, and the heavy weight of unanswered questions, created a palpable tension. Vincent, despite being a prime suspect, attended the services, his presence a source of both grief and suspicion. His visible distress, his tears, and his prominent position in the front row, created a complex image. His display of grief was undeniable, however, it did little to quell suspicion. The prevailing sentiment amongst the community, including Joni's brother, Eddie, leaned toward disbelief in Vincent's guilt. Their collective impression of Vincent, based on their prior interactions and his reputation, created a conflict between the image of a respectable principal and a cold-blooded killer. The community's doubt, supported by Eddie's testimony, highlighted the seemingly irreconcilable dissonance between Vincent's public persona and the brutal reality of the murders. The lack of evidence linking Vincent to violence or aggressive behavior further reinforced this skepticism. Following the funeral, Vincent approached Eddie, vehemently denying his involvement in the murders. The private declaration, a desperate attempt at self-defense, underscores the weight of suspicion that hung over him. Vincent's protestations, though heartfelt, could not completely allay the doubts of the investigators. The investigators, despite the seemingly strong alibi and community support for Vincent, chose to explore alternative scenarios. The shift in investigative focus, away from Joni as the primary target, toward Ernestine, highlighted the complexity of the case. The exploration of alternate targets, and the pursuit of new investigative leads, indicated the detectives' continued determination to uncover the truth. The investigation, far from over, continued its painstaking journey towards resolving the mystery. The investigation took a new turn as detectives shifted their focus to Ernestine, considering her community activism work as a potential motive. Her outspoken advocacy for the poor and disenfranchised, though laudable, had undoubtedly made her enemies. The risks inherent in her activism, a reality she had acknowledged by purchasing a revolver for self-protection, suggested a potential for conflict and retribution. The detectives, understanding the multifaceted nature of human interaction and the potential for hidden conflicts, recognized that her work might have inadvertently put her in harm's way. The urgency to find the perpetrator fueled the relentless pace of the investigation. The need to bring the killer to justice, to ensure public safety, and to offer closure to the grieving community, drove the relentless pursuit of evidence. The pressure to solve the case, coupled with the weight of the tragedy, fueled the investigators' commitment to finding the truth. The meticulous nature of the investigation, the tireless efforts of the detectives, and the unrelenting determination to uncover the truth, became a testament to their commitment to justice. Over the ensuing months, investigators methodically pieced together the fragments of evidence, meticulously examining every detail, every lead, every witness account. The slow and methodical approach, based on the diligent collection and analysis of evidence, reflected the complexity of the case and the detectives' determination to get to the truth. The painstaking reconstruction of events, the careful consideration of various scenarios, and the persistent pursuit of evidence, all contributed to the unfolding of the truth. The initial confirmation of Vincent's alibi, based on his credit card statements, began to crumble under the weight of further investigation. The detectives, employing meticulous investigative techniques, requested surveillance footage from the stores where the credit card purchases had been made. The video evidence, a silent witness to Vincent's actions, revealed a startling discrepancy. The person shown making the purchases was not Vincent, but his brother, Melvin. The close physical resemblance between the brothers, similar in height and build, had initially facilitated the deception. The discovery of the deception, however, cast serious doubt on Vincent's entire alibi. The seemingly irrefutable credit card records, once regarded as solid proof of his innocence, now became evidence of deliberate deception and potential complicity. The unraveling of Vincent's alibi signaled a crucial turning point in the investigation, shifting the focus of suspicion back to him. The case, already complex, took a new and unexpected turn. Melvin's initial denial quickly crumbled under the weight of persistent questioning. The pressure of the interrogation, the overwhelming evidence against him, and the realization that deception would only prolong the inevitable, led to his confession. His admission, a pivotal moment in the investigation, revealed that Vincent had orchestrated the alibi, deliberately directing Melvin to use his credit cards to create a false trail. The calculated deception, a testament to Vincent's cunning, heightened suspicion surrounding his involvement in the murders. Melvin's confession, though incriminating Vincent, did not automatically establish his guilt. The fact that Melvin had used the credit cards in Ohio did not negate the possibility that Vincent was also present. The circumstantial evidence, while significant, was not conclusive, leaving room for alternate interpretations. The confession, while a critical development, did not fully resolve the ambiguity of Vincent's whereabouts on July 6. Vincent's lawyer, attempting to salvage his client's credibility, presented a narrative that attempted to explain away the alibi discrepancy. The lawyer's assertion that lending his credit card to his brother was a common practice for Vincent presented a defense that strained credibility. The defense, though not entirely implausible, failed to fully account for Melvin's use of the card to create a false alibi. The lawyer's attempt to strengthen Vincent's alibi, however, only highlighted inconsistencies and increased suspicion. The claim that Vincent had spent the weekend with his brothers, Troy and Melvin, presented a challenge for investigators. The lawyer's statement about witnesses outside the immediate family corroborating Vincent's presence in Ohio needed to be substantiated. The corroborating witnesses presented by the defense raised questions concerning their credibility. The investigation needed to independently verify these claims to ensure their validity. The investigators, unimpressed by the defense's strategy, continued their pursuit of the truth. The lack of conclusive evidence linking Vincent to the murders, despite the unraveling alibi, maintained a crucial element of uncertainty in the case. The investigators, far from convinced, pursued other lines of inquiry, focusing on the many unanswered questions surrounding the case. The investigation, though challenged by Vincent's defense, would continue to unveil layers of truth. Melvin's confession, while significant, was tainted by his prior deception, casting doubt on the reliability of his testimony. His willingness to lie to investigators raised serious questions about his credibility, undermining the validity of his statements. The investigators, recognizing this, were careful to avoid placing too much weight on his account, instead looking for corroborating evidence. The investigators, pursuing every available lead, turned their attention to Vincent's travel history, meticulously examining his movements before, during, and after the murders. The detailed examination of his travel records, a critical element of the investigation, aimed to expose any inconsistencies or contradictions. The comprehensive review of travel logs, airline records, and rental car agreements was essential in corroborating or refuting his alibi. The confirmation of Vincent's flight to Columbus, Ohio, on July 2, provided a concrete point of reference for the investigation. The meticulous examination of flight records, rental car agreements, and other travel documents aimed to create a chronological timeline of his movements, to confirm or refute his alibi. The rental car, a key piece of evidence, was subjected to scrutiny. The rental car's odometer reading, recorded between July 2 and July 11, revealed an astonishing 5,424 miles. The sheer mileage, accumulated over such a short period, indicated a journey far beyond the reasonable limits of travel within Ohio. The calculation of the distance, a crucial step in the investigation, revealed a shocking conclusion. The excessive mileage on the rental car pointed to a significant detour, a round-trip journey far beyond the confines of Ohio. The investigators' conclusion, based on mileage calculations and travel distances, pointed to one inescapable conclusion: the car had been driven to California and back. The accumulated mileage, a silent witness to Vincent's movements, definitively contradicted his alibi. The odometer, a seemingly insignificant detail, became a crucial piece of evidence. The accumulated miles, far exceeding the reasonable travel within Ohio, directly implicated Vincent in the murders. The seemingly solid alibi, once seemingly unassailable, now stood thoroughly refuted. The evidence, meticulously gathered and analyzed, inexorably pointed toward Vincent's culpability. The investigation, spanning several months, had led the Bakersfield Police Department to a compelling conclusion: Vincent Brothers was the prime suspect in the Harper family murders. The accumulated evidence, though circumstantial, painted a damning picture of his involvement. The investigators, convinced of his guilt, needed concrete evidence to solidify their theory and ensure a successful prosecution. Their focus shifted to definitively proving Vincent's movements between Ohio and California. The theory, meticulously constructed by the investigators, posited that Vincent had crafted a carefully planned alibi by traveling to Ohio. Once there, however, he drove his rental car across the country to Bakersfield, committed the murders, and returned to Ohio. The complexity of the theory, involving long-distance travel and a meticulously planned deception, required substantial evidence to support it. The detectives, needing to establish beyond a reasonable doubt the travel between states, sought scientific proof of his journey. The collaboration between the Bakersfield Police Department and the FBI underscored the seriousness of the investigation. The joint effort, pooling resources and expertise, aimed to leave no stone unturned in the pursuit of justice. The collaborative approach, combining local and federal investigative capabilities, reflected the gravity of the crime and the commitment to securing a conviction. The rental car, a critical piece of evidence, was sent to a forensic laboratory for analysis. The examination of the vehicle, a search for biological or physical evidence, aimed to scientifically corroborate the detective's theory. The decision to examine the radiator of the rental car for insects was based on the principle of forensic entomology. Certain insect species are geographically limited, their presence linked to specific regions. The presence of California-specific insects in the radiator of the rental car would provide irrefutable evidence that the vehicle had been driven to California. The scientific analysis, a highly specialized forensic technique, offered the potential to definitively confirm or refute their theory. The samples collected from the rental car's radiator were sent to UC Davis, a renowned institution for entomology research. The meticulous testing, performed by expert entomologists, produced conclusive results. The lab results, returned from UC Davis, were a crucial breakthrough in the investigation. The identification of insect species found only in California and west of the Rocky Mountains provided indisputable proof that the rental car had traveled to California. The scientific confirmation, a testament to meticulous investigation and forensic expertise, effectively countered Vincent's alibi. The entomological evidence, irrefutable and definitive, finally cemented the detective's theory: Vincent had indeed traveled to California and back, directly contradicting his claim of being in Ohio. The case, once reliant on circumstantial evidence, now held a concrete scientific confirmation of Vincent's journey, leaving little doubt about his involvement in the murders. The convergence of evidence, meticulously gathered over months of investigation, increasingly implicated Vincent brothers. The detectives, pursuing every lead with unwavering determination, built a strong case against him. The mounting evidence, though initially circumstantial, now pointed directly at Vincent as the perpetrator of the Harper family murders. The puzzle, once shrouded in mystery, was beginning to reveal a chilling pattern of violence. The discovery of Vincent's past offenses further solidified the suspicion surrounding his involvement in the Harper family murders. The pattern of violence, revealed through police records, painted a disturbing picture of his character. The revelation of past incidents, carefully documented and verified, created a troubling pattern of violent behavior, reinforcing the theory that Vincent was capable of the heinous crime. The 1988 conviction for misdemeanor spousal abuse, though a relatively minor offense, highlighted a concerning trend. The 6-day jail sentence, though brief, signaled a history of violent behavior toward his first wife. The incident, however seemingly minor in the context of later events, was a warning sign of potential for future violence. The early warning signs of violence, seemingly minor at the time, were now crucial in constructing a disturbing portrait of Vincent. The events of his second marriage further compounded the concerns. The divorce filing, citing violence and death threats, provided another indication of his violent tendencies. The wife's testimony, though not directly related to the Harper family murders, painted a disturbing portrait of his character, establishing a clear pattern of violence in his personal relationships. The accusations of violence, made by his second wife, supported the theory that he was capable of extreme acts of aggression. The 1996 assault accusation, involving a co-worker at his home, presented a disturbingly similar pattern. The co-worker's account, describing the assault, the forced confinement, and the taking of photographs, revealed a chilling pattern of violence, control, and a potential proclivity for violence toward women. The details of the alleged assault, though lacking a formal conviction, reinforced the image of a man capable of extreme acts of aggression and intimidation. The disturbing patterns of violence, revealed through separate incidents across different points in his life, painted a chilling picture of Vincent's character and his potential for committing acts of extreme violence. The accumulated evidence, both from the Harper family investigation and his past, painted a disturbing picture of a man capable of unimaginable brutality. The investigation, strengthened by these new revelations, pointed ever more clearly toward Vincent as the killer. The co-worker's account, though lacking a formal police report, added another layer to the disturbing portrait of Vincent's behavior. Her claim of attempted reporting, coupled with the alleged discouragement by police, highlighted the impact of Vincent's reputation and position within the community. Her testimony, though hampered by the absence of a formal report, reinforced the pattern of violence and intimidation exhibited by Vincent. The alleged harassment, both at work and at home, demonstrated a disturbing pattern of control and aggression. The co-worker's description of Vincent's inappropriate touching and harassing phone calls illustrated his predatory behavior. The persistent nature of the harassment, the threats, and the creation of a hostile work environment spoke to Vincent's manipulative and controlling nature. The repeated actions, though not explicitly violent, highlighted his disregard for boundaries and his potential for escalating aggression. The failure of the school district to formally punish Vincent, despite receiving the complaints, raised serious questions about the efficacy of internal investigations. The school district's response, characterized by a warning rather than formal disciplinary action, revealed a failure to adequately address the concerns raised by the co-worker. The lack of formal consequences, given Vincent's position and reputation within the community, highlighted the potential for systemic failures to address such accusations. The insufficient response from the school district, allowing Vincent to continue his behavior, ultimately contributed to a climate where he felt emboldened to engage in violence. The culmination of months of investigation, involving meticulous evidence gathering, interviews, and the uncovering of Vincent's history, led the authorities to a definitive conclusion: Vincent Brothers was responsible for the murders of his family. The weight of evidence, though primarily circumstantial, painted an undeniable picture of his guilt, leaving little doubt in the minds of the investigators. The police, convinced of Vincent's guilt and possessing sufficient evidence to support their case, prepared to make an arrest. Vincent Brothers' arrest in April 2004 marked a turning point in the Harper family murder investigation. The culmination of months of painstaking work finally brought the suspected killer into custody, offering a measure of justice to the victims and their loved ones. The long investigation, with its twists and turns, finally reached its climax with Vincent's arrest. The arrest, though a victory for the authorities, did little to ease the pain of the Harper family's loss. The weight of their deaths, the trauma of the crime, and the enduring unanswered questions, continued to affect the community. The long path toward justice had begun. Vincent's arrest, marked by signs of impending flight, the sale of his possessions and the listing of his house, further solidified the suspicion surrounding his guilt. The preparations for escape, though circumstantial, provided additional evidence of his culpability. The attempts to dispose of his belongings, and his efforts to sell his house, suggested an awareness of impending arrest, indicating a guilty conscience. The arrest of Vincent Brothers, a respected member of the community, sent shockwaves through Bakersfield. The image of a beloved principal, a man who greeted students and mentored children, clashed sharply with the horrific accusations. The incongruity between his public persona and the brutal nature of the crime left many struggling to reconcile the two realities. The disbelief, widespread and profound, reflected the community's deep-seated shock and the difficulty of accepting the accusations. How could a man so respected, so admired, be capable of such a heinous act? Vincent's trial, beginning in January 2007, was a lengthy and emotionally charged event. The 4-month duration, involving over 100 witnesses, highlighted the complexity and significance of the case. The testimony, spanning a wide range of perspectives, provided a comprehensive view of the events and the people involved. Vincent himself took the stand, offering his account and attempting to counter the prosecution's narrative. The prosecution presented a compelling, though circumstantial, case, meticulously reconstructing Vincent's alleged actions. The timeline, carefully presented, detailed Vincent's journey from Ohio to Bakersfield, the commission of the murders, and his return to Ohio. The prosecutors, presenting a cohesive narrative, highlighted the evidence supporting their theory, creating a persuasive argument linking Vincent to the crimes. The careful reconstruction of events, based on physical evidence, witness testimony, and travel records, aimed to definitively link Vincent to the murders. The defense, facing a compelling prosecution case, sought to discredit the evidence and create reasonable doubt. The defense team, aiming to unravel the prosecution's carefully constructed argument, challenged the credibility of witnesses, questioned the interpretation of evidence, and sought to create alternative explanations for the circumstantial details. The defense attorneys worked tirelessly to poke holes in the prosecution's theory, aiming to cast doubt on Vincent's culpability. The battle in the courtroom, a clash of narratives, would determine Vincent's fate. The weight of the evidence, the strength of the prosecution's arguments, and the skill of the defense team would all play a role in determining the outcome of this complex and emotionally charged trial. The defense, employing a strategy of undermining the prosecution's evidence, challenged the reliability of the odometer readings on the rental car. The defense attorney argued that the odometer readings were not always accurately recorded by the rental agency's computer system, suggesting potential errors in the mileage calculations. This argument, though plausible, failed to account for the overwhelming circumstantial evidence pointing to Vincent's guilt. The defense further argued that the timeframe presented by the prosecution, suggesting a cross-country drive to Bakersfield and back within a short period, was physically impossible. The defense's argument, highlighting the logistical challenges of such a journey, attempted to cast doubt on the prosecution's timeline and, by extension, on the feasibility of their theory. This argument, based on time constraints and travel distances, sought to establish reasonable doubt regarding Vincent's ability to commit the crime. Despite the defense's efforts to create reasonable doubt, the jury ultimately found Vincent's explanation unconvincing. The weight of the evidence, combined with the compelling nature of the prosecution's narrative, swayed the jury toward a verdict of guilt. The evidence presented by the prosecution, despite the defense's attempts to discredit it, proved persuasive. The jury, after 3 days of deliberation, delivered a verdict of guilty on all counts. The verdict, a resounding condemnation of Vincent's actions, brought a measure of closure to the Harper family's friends and supporters. Vincent Brothers' death sentence, handed down in September 2007, brought an end to a long and arduous legal process. The sentence, a reflection of the severity of the crime and the lack of mitigating circumstances, marked a culmination of justice for the victims and their family. The sentence, carrying the ultimate punishment, was a stark recognition of the horrific nature of the crime and the devastating loss suffered by the community. Vincent remains on death row at San Quentin Penitentiary, his life awaiting final judgment. The Harper family murders stand as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. The senseless violence, the profound loss, and the complete absence of a justifiable motive, continue to haunt Bakersfield. The inability to understand the motives of the perpetrator, and the sheer horror of the murders, continue to affect the community. The incomprehensible act of murdering 3 innocent babies, an act of unthinkable cruelty, leaves an enduring stain on the collective consciousness. The case, a stark reminder of the darkness that lurks within humanity, continues to serve as a warning and a source of enduring sadness. The Harper family murders remain a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of unchecked violence. The brutality of the crime, the senseless loss of innocent lives, and the lingering questions, leave a profound sense of tragedy. The lack of a clear and satisfying motive only adds to the sense of injustice. The case, marked by its complexity and emotional weight, continues to resonate years later. The disbelief expressed by some who knew Vincent underscores the difficulty of reconciling his public persona with the horrific nature of his crimes. The dissonance between his perceived character and his actions leaves a lingering question about the true nature of evil and the ability to predict such violent acts. The struggle to understand the motivations, and the lingering disbelief, highlight the enduring mystery surrounding the crime. The sense of closure experienced by Joni and Ernestine's family and friends serves as a testament to the importance of justice. The conviction of Vincent brothers, though unable to fully alleviate their grief, brought a measure of solace and a sense of resolution. The hope for peace, the sense of closure, and the unwavering support from the community helped bring comfort to those left behind. The search for justice, though a long and difficult journey, ultimately led to a sense of resolution for the bereaved. The memory of Joni, Ernestine, Marcus, Lindsay, and Marshall, though forever marked by tragedy, continues to inspire a legacy of love, kindness, and community. Their lives, cut tragically short, remain a testament to the importance of human connection, family, and faith. The profound loss felt by their loved ones, and the lasting impact on the community, leaves an enduring legacy of sorrow and grief. The memory of their vibrant lives, forever altered by violence, serves as a reminder of the preciousness of each life, the enduring strength of community, and the importance of seeking justice.